Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video. In this video I'm going to be talking about gathering and how I leveled it up so quickly and how you guys can do the same thing as well. So I started with skinning. I started very recently actually, and have just absolutely power farmed skinning because honestly it was very easy for me to do. I could do it on my laptop. My PC wasn't working at the time, so I decided that I was going to focus on gathering. I needed skinning anyway to be able to recreate my armor sets. As you can see my reasoning in my other video. Just, I'm going to self-plug right there. But yeah, I went from T3 skinning knife on this character very quickly to where I am now, which is able to skin T7 and actually pushing to be able to skin T8 in the next day or so. And basically how I did it, I went from T3 Ttle, and at T3 Ttle the only things you can really skin is T2, T3 and T4. I mean, that is the only things you can skin, and flat T4. Flat T4 takes so long I would never worry about it. At that point, just farm massive amount of T2, because if you actually go to the starter zones, so let's show you, so if you go to these starter zones, there are certain areas in here that will have very high concentrations of T2 resources. It will just be on a constant respawn. You can go there, keep farming, and you'll farm that up in no time at all. Once you then start getting to, obviously pick up T3 as you're there as well, but T2 is kind of the main thing you're there. Just hard farm it, you'll get there very quickly. You then get a T4 tool, skinning knife. You kind of have two choices here. You can either stick with T2, T3, and that's actually quite quick. That's how I did it. Until I was doing some T4, so I basically filled an entire ox with T2 and T3 resources, came back to Carleon, and at that point, I went to Flint Slice. Now, Flint Slice is actually a very nice very nice zone to be able to skin. It's Mercia, which means there is a 23% chance that you're going to find an enchanted resource. That means 1 in every 4 mobs nearly is going to be enchanted, and actually you start getting some 0.2 quite often, and actually I got a lot of 0.3 as well. 4.3 mats are an absolute money maker right now with how the relics are going. Obviously a lot of people making 4.3s. So that for me was a very big one. I just spent hours and hours in there, mass farmed it, went from T4 tool once I first got it, all the way to being able to skin T6. Having a T6 tool in this zone. I just hard farmed it, and once I got to that point that I had, basically I went from T4 to T5 with no LP. And then T5 to T6 tool, I got to 30% and LP'd it immediately because it was an absolute nightmare. It is the worst gathering level there is. And all of a sudden I was able then to skin T6 shinies. Now, part of being in TC at the time, we owned DME, and we have a lot of sort of zonal pressure around the north of Cumbria anyway. So Deathmarch was a natural place for me to go. I basically rotated between Deathmarch, Blighted Bog and Flesh Eater. Sometimes I go to Sapwood, but it's quite heavily contested. At the moment I've kind of been doing Direwolves and Lizards, basically because the price is just so high on the pop, so if you get a pop, just $3. But yeah, I've just been hard farming it. Now, my goal is to just be able to mass produce T6 and T7 gear. So I was LPing T6, so I'm 40 mastery T6, so I LP'd from T5 to T6 tool, and then all my LP went onto T6 tool. 40 mastery. The reason for that is that I farm the resource boss quite often, so I get a lot of sort of gather procs. I'm going to be sticking in this sort of gear, the T6 gear, for a while, so having that extra mastery just allows things to help. 104 mastery bonus is quite nice actually. I think I get more from this than I do the T7 one. But yeah, you just hard farm that zone, look for shinies. I mean, you kind of have two different gathering styles. So I know a lot of people that only went around all of these zones and gathered all the shinies and then logged off. And they did real short bursts of gathering. I also know people like myself, everything I saw, all of the mobs that I found, I just gathered them. basically only T6, because now I'm at a point where T6 is faster than T5, so it's never going to be efficient for me to farm T5 unless it's maybe a like 2 or 0.3, but even 0.2s aren't particularly efficient, but the mats are quite nice. And yeah, so once I get to T7 Ttle, my complete goal is to dive Terries if I can, get some T8 resources. The reason for that is, even though it's going to take me a long time to do it, I would flat out sell T8 resources. Just get rid of them. So I'm never going to do it to use them, I don't think. I think it's purely going to be for just to sell them flat. But actually T7 resources, I find a lot of T7 resources. I found a 7.2 the other day that there was no skinner on. I just had to sit and look at it and cry a little bit and hope it went down to 7 flat so I could skin it. That's actually an interesting point while I'm here. T6 Ttle, you can skin T7 flat, and there's 23 ticks in a T7 flat. It is not efficient, 100% promise you it is not efficient, because it takes so long to do. You can get so many different mobs at the time that you don't actually need, like the T7 isn't efficient. However, if you're doing sort of AFK farming, you've got Netflix on in the background or whatever, that's a perfect thing, because you can just kind of sit there, not really focus, and basically just let it do its thing and gather the resource, which is quite nice. Yeah, so the last thing I'm going to talk about with gathering, and something I was doing a little bit later on, this is eventually going to be my ganking character as well, as my gatherer. Kind of they go hand in hand in my opinion. That's why I'm doing bow, doing that, because why not? I want to use a barbarian. But yeah, so what I was actually doing is wearing the Skinner garb, so the chest piece, and then having the boots and helmet be what I actually wanted to wear. The reason I did this is because you gain exactly the same extra yield by having the chest piece as you do by having the cap and the boots together. It's just a little tip that if you want to do it, you can do it with other gatherers as well. In fact, with other gatherers, what you could potentially do, because you're not killing the mobs and you don't get, like, obviously skinners get a huge benefit by having the chest piece on, because you hide animal poison. Whereas other gatherers could potentially use the chest piece they want to use as well as the weapon, and yeah, you could, I suppose, but you wouldn't gain much benefit out of it because you're not going to be killing mobs as much. More of a skinning sort of recommendation than, let's say. But yeah, so yeah, this is what I've got at the moment. It's going slowly, but actually it's not as slowly as I thought it would be. And again, I can now, like I said, I can LP to that. I've done this in like a day and a half. One resource boss got me like a lot of that as well. I LP T6 spec because I just wanted to be able to hard farm it fast and quick. Probably not the wisest move. Probably could have got to T7 instead quicker if I'd have just saved my LP. But it is what it is. So guys, hope this helps you guys. Just, I know it's a bit ranty, but I hope it helps. And thanks for watching. Catch you later, guys. Goodbye.